I lost 27 pounds without tracking my calories and macros. So there's one thing that's very important when it comes to losing fat. It's overall being in a calorie deficit. Obviously we all know this, but this isn't your basic be in a calorie deficit and move more type of video. This video is going to be a very detailed and thought through breakdown on how you can live life without tracking the foods that you're eating, but A, still lose fat, B, live happily and abundantly, and number C, see the transformation that you want to see. And there's really 3 points that go into living this kind of lifestyle. And the first one is, if you want to, or how I did it, was I wanted to wipe out almost 30 pounds without tracking a single calorie. I knew the lower I got in body fat percentage, like to the 11, 10, even single digit body fat percentage, I needed to start tracking, because then you're at such a calorie deficit where even 100 calories above what your deficit is might keep you at maintenance. So I did this for the first 27 pounds that I wanted to lose, and it basically wiped my fat away. This is, fair warning, not super sustainable, but do as you wish with the information, obviously. So when I was finishing my last year of undergrad at McMaster, I was living in residence, and I was so sick of going to the gym, getting good workouts in, but not seeing the definition that I wanted to see, not seeing the results that I wanted to see with my fat loss journey, right? I was strong, I was confident, but there was just something lacking. And I was this rounded puffball with no definition in his muscles, no real striations or a defined six-pack that I was, look in the mirror and I'd be like, wow. And those are some of the things that I really dreamed about, especially as a kid, growing up watching different people, looking at pictures, magazines, and whatnot. I wanted to have a shredded six-pack, an amazing physique. So I researched a couple things, and I couldn't stand this idea at the beginning. I couldn't fathom the idea that I needed to track what I was eating in order to see the results that I wanted. It's just, in my mind, like anything that you do new, is too much work. Like, what about if I go out for dinners and vacations and all these different things that I want to enjoy in my life? I can't do that. So I really searched for another method that was simple and something that I could do with basically no brains. So after searching for a long time and struggling with, losing anywhere from, I'd be able to, drop 3 pounds, but then later on I just realized it was water weight. But I wanted to target specifically fat. And what I realized and what I started doing and implementing that really helped me was eating 90 to 95% whole foods and eating until I was full. So why this worked for me was, if you're eating whole foods, meaning foods that came from this planet, single ingredient foods, it's almost, number one, impossible to overeat, and number two, it's easy to get full. You eat a whole steak, you're full. You eat a whole box of cookies, an hour later, you're still hungry. Why is that? Obviously, because both of these foods are different on the glycemic index, meaning how one spikes your blood sugar levels, and then when they crash, you typically get hungry to, it's like a drug. Spike your blood sugars, crashes, and then you're searching for that next high or that next food to eat, digest, or whatever, to fill your appetite. But for example, steak, just because everybody knows what a piece of steak is, it's very low on the glycemic index. So what does that mean? It's not going to spike your insulin, it's not going to spike your blood sugar levels, and it's going to keep you at this steady state, which in turn keeps you full for longer. You're not chasing that next high for food. Right? Try it out. And I did this, and I really saw the difference in my life. I would start the day, I'd be like, okay, let me, get a Tim Hortons breakfast because I'm from Canada. I'd get a farmer's wrap, a donut, and some coffee with sugar and cream in it. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, I was starving. Obviously, it's not the most macro friendly meal. It's just really high on calories. But then I would ask myself, why am I hungry? I just ate. And this is where I got into the pattern of overeating. I'd eat in, 1 hour, or I'd eat in 1 hour, and then 2 hours later I'd be hungry again, and then I'd consciously reflect and see myself, okay, I'm going to eat more food. So it's easier when you're eating these kind of shit foods to overeat without consciously being aware of how much you're eating. So single ingredient foods are basically a hack to lose fat without tracking your calories. So that's the biggest thing that I want to focus on is, and how I did that was I would figure out and plan my, breakfast, lunch, and dinners. I'd usually have 3 meals because I didn't want to overdo it. And after the third meal, I really felt really full. And it was great at the beginning. I was losing all the fat that I needed. I was really disciplined. I was really dialed into my diet and what I was eating. And I was making sure, okay, you know what? I asked myself, I reflect on what I'm putting into my mouth. Okay, is this single ingredient? Is this single ingredient? Is this single ingredient? Rice, eggs, all these things of type of the nature. Same thing with fruits. It's really hard to overeat on fruits. So these are the things that I started including more into my diet. And then when it just became a habit, the fat just started melting off. But then I ran into a plateau. This was during a time when I was living by myself. I didn't really have any distractions. It was also during the winter, so it was easier to say to people, oh, I'm not going out, or nothing was really going on. But then when you're around your friends, or summertime comes along, and even spring, you tend to go out more. You tend to be around your friends and family. You're going out for lunches, dinners, meeting with people, having barbecues, and this is the time when it becomes really unsustainable, because you're not just going to say no to everything. You don't want to say, oh no, sorry, because I can't eat this burger because it's not single ingredient. Oh, sorry, no, I can't eat this, shawarma, whatever you're eating that's not single ingredient. Sorry, I can't go out with shawarma with you because it's not single ingredient. You don't want to be that guy. So once I lost those 27 pounds, I had to make a choice. And especially, spring and summer coming around, I knew that I can't sustain this for very long. I was happy with the progress that it gave me, but I wanted to dial in even more. I wanted to lose 10, 15 more pounds. And I knew that I still wanted to enjoy the things around me. Ice cream, pizza, all these different things that are not single ingredient foods, that are, on the higher donuts, on the higher scale for calories. So what did I end up doing? I ended up switching from only whole foods to tracking my meals and tracking what I was eating, because it seemed simpler to me. I thought it required more work to track and, have everything, okay, what am I eating? What about this? What about that? Rather than just, putting something quickly on the scale and understanding how much it weighs. And now I do that, and it's a part of my life, and it's a part of who I am, just because I just literally made a TikTok video about this 2 minutes earlier. It takes little to no time. Right before you put a food on a piece of plate, track it. And then even with the single ingredient foods like rice, chicken, eggs, whatever it may be that you're eating, ground beef, it's easier and more sustainable to enjoy the things that are, a little bit more on the caloric side, like, ice cream, wings, whatnot, because let's say you're tracking your food and you're on a diet and you're on a surplus of eating 1,800 calories. You track, 18 is kind of low, I don't know why I said 18. Let's say you're on like 2,400. You track up to that 2,000 mark. Now you have, let's say, you track up to that 2,000 mark. Now you have 400 calories left in your diet or in your overall chart of amount of food that you can eat. If your macros allow for it, obviously, which most of the times it does, you could swing yourself a donut that's 200 calories, and then after, a piece of ice cream or like a popsicle, that's another 200 calories. And you're still in that 2,400 zone. And I just found that to be a lot easier, but that's not the point of this video. The point of the video is how to lose, or how I lost 27 pounds without tracking food. So that was a transition I made to lose the last 15 pounds, the stubborn fat. Because to lose the stubborn fat, you're either eating 100% whole foods. Like, you can't really get away with like the 80-20 rule or like the 85-15 rule. You got to eat like 100% because it's really precise to get to single digit body fat percentages. That's why almost nobody's there. And I wanted to still enjoy those things, so I told myself, okay, it's time to pick up a scale and start tracking. So if you're okay getting to that 15, 14, 13 body fat percentage level, then you can allow yourself to live in that 90-10 whole food, single ingredient foods to, junk meals. As long as obviously it's not like a whole box of Oreo cookies. Number 2, how I lost 27 pounds without tracking my calories would be 150 minutes of cardio per week. And this was just a standard thing that once I included, I started to see the fat melt away, because, before I started doing the cardio, I would eat whole and clean, but I'd be sitting on my ass all day. I'd be studying, or I'd be, watching movies, or I'd be chilling with my girlfriend on the couch or in my car, and there would be really no movement in my life. And it was only until I remember watching a podcast that kind of brought this to life for me. It's like, dude, you literally sit your whole life and you're expecting to lose fat. Like, your metabolism, your body is going to adjust to the energy that you give it. And if you're telling it, okay, I sit all day, then it's only just going to burn the amount of calories at such a minimum level. And I remember also listening and reading to a study that says when you're seated opposed to standing, your metabolism cuts in half. Meaning, let's say, just as an example for simplicity's sakes, let's say you burn 10 calories per minute living, breathing, whatever. Obviously, it's probably less than that, but let's just say for ease sake of example. When you're sitting, your metabolism cuts in half, and now you're burning only 5 calories per minute, opposed to when you were standing or walking, or obviously when walking a little bit more, but when you're standing, for example, it's 10. So I really tried to consciously avoid sitting as much as I can, and at the same time, I included 150 minutes of cardio. So what does 150 minutes of cardio look like? 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. All it took was really 30 minutes, 5 days a week of walking. Not running, not sprinting, not biking, not all these high intensity circuit training workouts. Legitimately just walking. And when I tell people this, they seem mind blown. They seem like, what? I could just walk and lose fat? Yeah, you can. Paired, obviously, with a whole food diet, like I just said, if you don't want to track. you can absolutely lose fat by just walking. And regardless if you track or not, you should still be doing cardio. I do currently track now just because I want to, present myself in the best shape as possible and still, enjoy more of the finer things in life. Pizza. Oh, I could totally devour a pizza right now. But regardless of the fact I'm getting off track, you should still be doing those 150 minutes of cardio just like you train your muscle, your mind. Like I read every single morning, I'm training my mind. I meditate, I'm training my mind. I work out, I'm training my muscles. Your heart is also a separate muscle. Obviously, your heart is being trained with, when you're training at the gym. But cardio allows you to specifically pinpoint and focus on your heart because it's steady state. Meaning, okay, when you're at the gym, you do a couple of curls, you're targeting that muscle in your bicep. It gets fatigued, but then you rest for like whatever your coach is telling you to rest for 30 seconds to up to 3 minutes, depending on the style of lifting that you're doing. But when it comes to cardio, especially steady state cardio, your heart isn't resting. It's constantly beating at a higher level than it would be when you're sitting down or standing. So that's another thing that really helped me lose those 27 pounds without tracking is, number one, the whole foods at that 90-10 split, and number two, 150 minutes of cardio per week, which is 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Super simple. Wake up, go for a 30-minute walk. Or before you go to bed, go on a 30-minute walk. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't get stuck in this analysis paralysis, because that's what I used to do. It's like, oh, it's going to take me so long. I have to I think it was just my ADHD. It's like, oh, I got to get up. I got to put on my shoes. I got to put on a jacket or something. And I got to put on clothes. And then I got to walk myself outside. It's like you're overcomplicating. Your mind likes to overcomplicate things and make it seem more difficult than it actually is because it likes comfort. It's not that fucking difficult. Put on shoes, get outside, walk. You'll be back in 30 minutes, and then you're going to be looking back and you're going to be sitting in the exact same spot that you left, and you're going to think to yourself, wow, that was so quick. Like 30 minutes just flew by like that. And then you're going to feel good about yourself. Do things that are going to make you feel good about yourself rather than you feel guilty about yourself. You sit on the couch all day, you're going to feel guilty. Shit, I just spent all day on the couch. You go outside, you get some sunlight, you get some steps in, you're going to feel good at the end of the day. You're going to be like, wow, I made my bed, I got my workout in, I ate really clean, I walked around. What a successful day. And obviously your days should never be measured on your productivity. Like, I think that's just like my way of thinking. Like, I have this like whole checklist that like, oh, okay, if I don't check off that, then I feel like a failure. And your self-worth isn't measured by your checklist. But it's still good to have things that, it keeps you disciplined. Things that you show up for, things that you stand for, and you're just basic non-negotiables through your day. Like some of my non-negotiables I'll share with you guys is in the morning I need to hydrate, and it's like basically this. I'm going to tell you my golden standard routine. I know a lot of people geek over routines, so I'll tell you mine. I wake up, I hop in the cold shower, I spike my body, put it into shock, and just absolutely sit in the cold shower for like a minute and 30 and just freeze to death. Why? I don't really do it for any other reason besides A, it makes me feel good, and B, it wakes me the fuck up. Way better than coffee. Number two, right after that, obviously, brush my teeth, deodorant, etc. Use organic deodorant. I go to the kitchen, hydrate. 350 millimeters with sodium, so like a pinch of salt, and then another 350 millimeters just plain water. Why? Because I like to hydrate, and at nighttime you basically dehydrate yourself. So when you wake up, you take a freaking massive piss, and then you feel so shit. Do this before you take your first sip of coffee. It'll make you feel night and day. Then, what do I like to do? After that, I like to make myself a coffee. I always drink black now just because it's 0 calories and it's not another thing I have to think about. Maybe if I'm feeling, nice throughout the day, I might get myself like a milk and a cream and a sugar, something like that. But most oftentimes than not, it's just black. Whether it be espresso, whether it just be like a long black coffee, it's whatever I'm feeling. I'm usually like a long black coffee type of guy. After that, I like to come sit down, spend time with my Bible, and feed myself positivity through Jesus' teachings, through stories, parables, and proverbs in the Bible, just to prime my mind with positivity, with good intention, and just basically set myself straight for the rest of the day. After that, what I like to do is whatever subject or area of interest I'm currently focusing on building or learning or developing, I read for anywhere between 15 to 40 minutes, 20 to 40 minutes usually. And currently I'm reading a book about YouTube, how to communicate better to the camera, how to create better YouTube videos, just because I want to provide you guys with a better experience. Then after that, I usually tend to go to the gym. I don't do cardio until later on in the evening. I go to the gym, I get my workout in, I get a crazy pump, fasted. I feel amazing working out fasted. I highly suggest it to anybody who hasn't tried, because you don't go to the gym with this whole full stomach and you feel like lazy and lethargic. That's how I used to feel. And then I get straight to work. And then before bed, I'll usually rip 30 minutes to an hour of cardio, depending on how I'm feeling and how much time I have, and then go to sleep. And that's like oh my goodness, I just picked up these couches and I'm playing with my pen with my ADHD, and I just drew all over the couch, so my dad's gonna kill me. Anyway, why did I get so off track? That's my morning routine. Number 3, and most importantly, with any sort of fat loss journey, whether you're tracking, whether you're not, whether you're just starting out, the most important thing that you can do, and just to feel better, optimize your hormone, especially testosterone. You probably guessed it. Add more protein into your diet. Number 1, protein is the most thermogenic substance that you can put into your body. Meaning, it requires the most energy from your body to digest. So what does this mean? You'll just be burning more calories without doing any work. It's basically like a cheat code to speeding up your metabolism and making it work harder for you. Whatever your health goals are, you should be doing this. Even if you don't want to lose fat, even if you just want to, live a healthier life, add more protein. It's scientifically proven to boost longevity. Even if you don't want to build muscle and you just want to become, be running faster. It's technically building muscle, but it's a different type of muscle. Eat more protein. Whether you're a girl or a guy, most of my audience are men, but even if you're a girl, eat more protein. Your hormones are going to be in check a lot better. Your, monthly cycles are going to be a lot better. Don't ask me how I know this. I have a fiance. And yeah. So the thing is, this is a very good diet because, you don't have to be in and out of tracking and think about the tracking and whatnot. I personally like it now, the whole tracking thing. It's a very disciplined diet. It could be done for a period of time, but if you're somebody who's not a very disciplined individual, you will not be able to sustain this diet for a very long time unless you do it for a very long time. Meaning, if you do it for like 3 to 6 months, and you will see enormous progress if you do it for that long, it'll just become a habit at that point, and you'll just naturally, instinctively do it. So it's good in that sense. But personally, I didn't find it fun or sustainable, especially in the summer, spring time. If you want to do it like, switch through diets, you typically want to find something that's sustainable for you. I found tracking whole foods and, junk foods from time to time the most sustainable for me. But see and try what works with you. It requires more work, but at least you get to enjoy your foods when you track your macros. So obviously carrying a scale around everywhere you go is not ideal, especially if you're somebody who likes to travel a lot, or if you do like traveling work. But your average person, they go to work, they come home. They're not out and about traveling the world, going into different places every single night. You tend to wake up, you tend to do your thing, go to work, and then come back and you're at home. You can just buy a scale for $15 and you'll see and actually understand what you're putting in your body. That way, if you want to change how your body looks, body recomposition, you want to build more muscle, you want to lose even more fat, you can adjust it based on what the scale is telling you and what you're putting into your body. So if you did find this video valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Check out the links below. Connect with me on Instagram and LinkedIn if you like this video. If you like me, if you didn't, peace. I'll never see you again, I guess. If you did, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll leave you like I always do. Create more than you consume. Serve others. Love everyone. Peace.